Ryan Jarrell here for MMA News, and I am very excited to have my next guest on the show. It's the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world and UFC Hall of Famer, the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. Chuck, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And it's a real pleasure to interview you here for the first time. You have an event around the corner, the Pallas Athena Women's Fighting Championship. It's March the 9th. This is their third event. What is your role with the promotion and this particular event?
Oh, at this event, it's a promotional thing. I'm coming up to meet fans and talk to them and help support women's MMA and kickboxing. It's kind of interesting. It's a mixed show. They're gonna have kickboxing matches there, so kind of excited about that. I haven't been a kickboxing match in a while, but it's gonna give me some good fights.
Yeah. So are you going to be affiliated with this promotion moving forward, or is this just a one-time thing?
Oh, no, but well, I don't know. We'll see what happens going forward. But this is gonna be just there to see fans and interact and get and support the program. So yeah, I'll support them for as long as they're out there pushing MMA.
Absolutely. Have you ever been to Calgary, Alberta before? Is this your first
Oh,
time?
yeah, I've been to Calgary quite a few times. Calgary's a fun place. I like Calgary. Um, Always like the Canadian fans up there. So it's a lot of fun.
So you're familiar with this particular venue then?
I don't know if I've been in this venue. Actually, I don't know if I've actually been in it, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Canadian fans too, they get pretty hyped. I know when the UFC goes up to Canada, it's as loud as it gets almost anywhere. Have you
Oh,
noticed that? Is that the case?
oh yeah, it is. They've always been very allowed fans. Um, they really like their MMA up there. So it's always been a great place to go as a fighter.
And you're obviously, one of the pioneers of the sport, one of the real OGs here. When you look at the growth of women's MMA, let's just start there. Like, are you surprised to see where it's at now, or did you expect it back in the day to just evolve the way that it has?
Oh, well, what it's like any other part of MMA. They think they're growing steps to evolve, but yeah, it's gotten better. They've gotten better and better at first. And this is one of the programs that help really shows that helps because yeah, they need more feeder shows to get to get experience and places to go train and fight and get ready. Because you need that build up because the big problem in the beginning was you had this people like Chris Cyborg, they're at the top, and then you had everybody else. And there was no kind of there was like you started on a small show and then a big show,
Mhm.
nothing in the middle. I think that's like kind of in the beginning. You'll see a lot of it. There's a pride. You'll see a couple big shows, and then there's a lot of little shows everywhere. So there was such a jump from one to the UFC, right? From the other smaller shows to the UFC was such a big jump that it made it really hard for a lot of guys, to get in there. So I think this is that step. You need more of the smaller shows that feeder shows to get built up into bigger shows.
100%. I remember when Ronda Rousey first came out and took the whole combat sports world by storm. Do you look and see a female fighter nowadays that you think maybe could take that top spot and keep it running here moving forward as like the biggest woman's draw?
That one's hard for me to pick. I think a lot of these there's so many talented fighters now. Girls are exciting to watch. It's just because that's kind of that she had that persona and that dominance. I think in MMA especially, when you get the more the sport grows, the harder it's going to be that dominant. The better, the more shows there are, the more fighters there are, the more time it's just there's so many different ways to win and lose in an MMA fight. That it just makes it really hard to be that dominant. She was just that dominant for that time.
It just goes to show like how the sport has evolved, right? There's so many more athletes that are getting into it and making this their primary focus.
Yeah, and just but it also has to do with styles make fights. It's you got it's in this more than anything when you're talking about there's a lot of different, it's like a chess match, and there's a lot of different moves, and a lot of different ways to win and lose. There's a lot of different ways to put it together. And so styles can make a big difference in a fight.
Now, are you familiar with many of the fighters that are competing on this card?
I am not, but I'm kind of really excited about actually getting to see some kickboxing too. I haven't
Yeah.
seen some good Muay Thai in a while.
There's a 125-pound title bout, Larissa Carvalho versus Kate Basic. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Also, Lexi Rook. She's like a top 10 pound for pound fighter out of the UK and Ireland. So a lot of fighters with some height behind them here, competing on this card.
Yeah, and that excites me. I like that. It's been a while since I've been able to go to some of the smaller shows, and I like go. I've always been I like when I had a fight team. I used to go to all the shows, and I like the small shows too. So it's fun. It's fun to watch see some new blood.
You'll be joined by Chris Cyborg Santos, Felicia Spencer. I think she's going to be doing commentary. Are you going to jump on the commentary booth at all?
Oh, I don't know if I'll do the commentary booth. We'll see. We'll see if they want. They asked me to. Maybe a fight or so. Maybe a fight or two. Maybe some of the kickboxing. That'd be fun.
So, Chris, I would imagine she's going to be doing something similar to you, right? She's going to be there meeting the fans, taking pictures, and kind of hyping up the event.
Oh, I'm sure she will. I mean, that's what I'm guessing, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what her duties are, but she's always good with fans, and it'll be a fun time.
Obviously, Kayla Harrison's a big name in the women's MMA world. That there was, obviously a hopefully rumored fight with Cyborg and Kayla Harrison that maybe will come to fruition down the line. Do you think it does? And what do you what would you think stylistically we'd see in that matchup?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I mean, stylistically, I mean, obviously, Cyborg's going to try to stand and bang her, bang and bang. That would be. I mean, everyone's going to want to see it. I think, but I don't know. That would be yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know, but that's one of the things. I don't know if they're going to make it happen.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. How long will you be in Canada here for this event? Are you going to stay and do some sightseeing and get out around the town at all, or is it just a business trip and then you're heading right back home?
I'm actually in and out. I wish I wasn't. I had stuff scheduled in the middle. I'm actually leaving friends in the middle of a birthday weekend. And it's coming up, and then going back. That's right. So it'll be I'll be a pretty quick trip, but I'm like disappointed about that. Maybe next time I'm in Canada, I'll stay longer, hopefully.
All right. Well, I got to ask you some stuff about just, your career. So many friends of mine, you're like their favorite fighter. You had such a fan-friendly style. Do you have a favorite fight memory of your career? Is there a certain fight that stands out that you look back and be like, man, that was just me at my pinnacle, that, is me at my absolute best?
Honestly, I masses a lot, and I get back. Well, if I have to pick one. I mean, I'll take the second fight with Randy. I went out, I avenged the loss, and I came out, and I was able to knock him out the way I wanted to. We'd actually worked on kind of that, just when he's coming forward, just sidestepping back and sidestepping back, and catching him. And it was I was first round knockout, and I did it the way I wanted to. So.
I was going to say, I would expect you to say maybe, beating Randy or maybe Tito Ortiz. Would that be a close second?
Oh, well, people ask me which. Well, I'd say best was that one. That was the most fun was beating Tito first time, and it was because it was one of those things. I'd said I could do it the whole time. We used to train together. I used to beat him up. I beat him at everything. So I beat him. Back then I would have beat him in a wrestling match. So I beat him just about everything. And if not everything, but going in. But I think Randy was the hard opponent for me. It was a guy I had to go out there and fix a couple things and to beat him. So that was probably the best one.
Yeah, no doubt. If you had to pick one, such a special time and the growth of MMA. And then I think it was like 9 years after you fought Franklin, you fought Tito again, and you were definitely older at that point. Like, do you regret taking that third fight with him?
I don't know that I regret. I regret it. I mean, I wish I'd been in. I mean, it's just one of those things. I had some stuff I needed. I should have had surgery before the fight. I didn't know. I was so it was one of those things. If you look at it, I wish I had performed better. I wish I was able to perform better. But I think in my mind that let me know that I wasn't able to compete at that level anymore. And it was one of those things. I wasn't able to. I'm not able to take a shot like I used to be able to.
Mm.
Like, so it is what it is. I mean, and actually, I've done some stuff, post stuff, but we're supposed to be able to fix that nowadays with brain training stuff and doing that stuff. But I'm a little old to I'm a little old to go figure that out now.
Mm.
If that worked.
Do you still train at all? Like I'm sure you work out, but like, do you do any type of training still to just stay in shape?
So training is that's my favorite way to work out. So I will hit bags and wrestle and or do jiu-jitsu. Um, uh, more for I think that as long as my body works.
Mm.
So that's if I have to go out and do something to burn some calories, my favorite thing to do is go out and do some form of martial arts.
Yeah, no doubt. It really is the best way to get out there and get a workout in. One thing I wanted to ask you, Chuck, is Coach John Hackelman, legendary coach, and I it always seemed like when you were placing your shots, like your hook, it was like specific on like a certain like point of like the jaw or the ear. Is that something that you guys worked on like in training about placement of your punches?
Well, you try to hit that. I mean, you try. Yeah, you're trying to work on it. I was always adjusting. One of the ways of the way John had me throw my hook, I'm able to adjust it as I'm going for distance. So I try it. You try to get that. Yeah, I'm trying to catch you on that chin to get your head. But yeah, yeah, we trained for it. We trained at different things. We added different things for different fights. Like it's funny, like the first Babu fight thing. That was one of the things we got out of films. Like he would do this when he's trying, whenever when he does this and shoot. And so we worked on that kick and he wanted and catch him doing it, kicking him in the head. I had a few fights where John added something for that fight, and I ended up using it to knock the guy out. So
Clearly worked well for your career. And I always thought too that you were not just a great fighter, but you were also an athlete. It was clear like you had both the fighter and the athlete gene in there. Do you look at fighters nowadays and say that they're better athletes now? Like, is there a difference, or is it just kind of case to case?
I think it's case to case. I mean, but and I think a lot of that difference is something more mentality for me. If I say he's a fighter or just an athlete, uh, yeah, because sometimes it's the fighters are some of the guys that don't have that fighter mentality, and they're just really talented. They're really they're good at fighting, but they don't have that fighter mentality. Um, so it's just a different thing. Like me, I always said I wasn't the best. I always said I'm not the best athlete in the room. I was usually one of the best, but I'm not the best athlete in the room. But I just never got outworked. I mean, I'm not gonna let anybody outwork me. Uh, so that's one of the things that helps get guys to a different level. But yeah, what happens now. You got guys that are a lot more people that are starting real early within camps that or places where schools where people they know how to train it. I mean, if you remember back in the day, we came in and we were just trying to figure out how to mix this all together. I was coming in with guys usually came in with one part of the sport. They come in as a striker or a wrestler or a jiu-jitsu guy or whatever sport, whatever style they came from, and they'd have had the other two elements because there's basically your stand-up striking, there's wrestling, and then there's jiu-jitsu, right? So and everybody come in with one and have to learn the other two and figure out how to put it together.
Mm.
So I came in with two, which was nice, and then had to figure out that we had to figure out jiu-jitsu, but we also had to figure out how to mix it, how to train it, how do we spar wrestling and not get guys hurt. You can't go out with MMA gloves and beat each other up. and too many, and so it was interesting watching. And I used to remember watching the Miltex guys train like the day before, like that, like after the workout after weigh-ins. I'll be looking, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Just banging, going after each other. I'm like, take it, take it easy. But they're those guys that do well for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Marcus Davis is my old coach. He trained under Milicic as well. I'm sure you know
yeah.
Marcus.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then Mills is a great guy too. But yeah, it was. I mean, that's a fun time. But like I said, nowadays walking to a gym, that walking to a gym, they know they've got recovery, and just like I said, the knowledge of how to train and mix it together, and periodization of training camps, all that stuff. And obviously, there's a lot more fights now.
Mhm. How amazing was it for you to watch your close friend, former training partner, Glover Teixeira, win the title at 42 years old?
Oh, that was awesome, man. He's such a great guy, such a real fighter. Like he loved fighting, loved being a fighter, and just a good guy. And that was great to see. I mean, I was so happy for him. Yeah, because I mean, he lost 3 years in the prime of his career. I think in Brazil, he got stuck. To went back to his, I think, get his green card or whatever. But
Amazing story. And I'm sure you get asked this a lot, Chuck, but I gotta ask you for myself. Prime Chuck Liddell versus Prime John Jones. Who wins? How does it end?
uh, I went by knockout. I mean, if you ask me, but I mean, it would be that would be a fun fight. I mean, for me, the thing that John does really well is dictate where the fight is fought. Like if he's better than you on the ground, he'll take you down. Or if he's better than you, better ground and pound. That's it. If he doesn't want to go around, he'll stand up. And he's been able to control where a lot of these fights are fought. He wouldn't be able to do that with me. I mean, back in when my prime, he wouldn't be able to take me down. I mean, and at that time, he wouldn't have, it would have been fun. It would have been a fun. I mean, I think yeah, I would have tested him, and I'm a lot longer than he thinks that. It would. I mean, I would if John had purposely had them. He told them my reach was 76. So because he didn't want, because if you measured it here to here, it's 79 and a half,
Oh, wow.
which they would have put down as 80. So he wanted people. He didn't want where you look at if you look at a 205 minutes, he's got an 80-inch reach. Oh man, he's got a long reach. So you train for that.
Mm-hmm.
With 76 down, it doesn't. Well, no bells and whistles go off. So they're trained. They're not training for a long guy. And what that does for me is when we get out there, by the time you figure out that I'm a little longer than you thought I was, it might be too late.
So back in the day, you could get away with not having the UFC actually measure you. They would just go on
Oh,
like what your
you
coach
mentioned
says.
that. You just move they don't think they think you're gonna, you just don't stretch, you move your shoulders back a little bit.
Okay.
Give out to 76.
It's a little gamesmanship. I love it.
Yeah, no, John was really peculiar about it, stuff like that. Like, and like if you go back and look at any of the old videos when they were doing the training, the UFC was filming the pre-fight training videos. They come into the gym for a day or two. John made me. I stood southpaw the whole time. I
Okay.
was always go back and look. I spar southpaw, I hit the mid southpaw, hit the bag southpaw. That's it. Because he didn't want them to get a look at anything I was doing naturally.
Yeah, and then they go in the fight, and it'd be even more of an issue for them because they wouldn't be prepared for what you're actually going to bring to the fight.
Well, yeah, I think that's just why I don't know if anyone even noticed. I mean, I don't people don't even know, but if he just didn't want anything we were specifically working on for that fight, if I'm standing southpaw, I'm not going to do it, and they're not going to see it. Because John had a thing like adding things to the toolbox and taking. Oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Let's put this in for the fight. Let's put that in for the fight. This will work good. This will work good. Try this. That kind of thing. But so he just didn't want him to see any of it. Just gonna,
Smart coach. I
yeah,
wanted to ask you too, Chuck. What is your current relationship with Dana White? I know you guys have always been close. Is that still the case?
yeah, we're still friends. I mean, I don't see him as much as I used to, but yeah, we're still good. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're doing. It's good. I still like Dana.
obviously anyone that follows combat sports knows what he's done for MMA. I mean, he's a pioneer for what he's done with the sport. But when it's all said and done, when he walks away and he retires, how do you think he's going to be remembered for just everything he's done for combat sports? Because he's brought it to like another level where it's surpassed boxing now. And I don't think it'd be where it is unless it was for everything that he's done.
Oh, I mean, you have to give him credit for all that. I mean, he was able to, he started out. I mean, he was a manager, and he managed me and Tito actually, and a couple of guys, I think. But he that's when he figured out. Oh, man, they're not doing this sport right now. We get this to be the sport could be huge, and he got with Lorenzo and Frank, and they made it huge. And I tell people all the time, it's like people talk about fight pay and stuff, but I get it. Like, look, when I came into the sport, I mean, fighting, if you fought 3 times a year, it'd be a home run would be 150 grand a year. By the end of my career, I was getting 150 grand on my shorts and sponsorship. So I mean, it was, it was if they hadn't came, they wouldn't have. We would have never. I don't know. Well, I think the sport, someone hopefully someone else would have picked it up and ran with it, but without them picking up and running with it, we would people wouldn't be making the money they're making now.
Looking back on like where you thought the sport would be like when you were a young man first starting in your career till now, like did it even surpass your wildest expectations to where it's at now in 2024?
I always thought it would get here, but I thought it would take a lot longer to get here. Like I thought it would be me looking back, and it never having got there yet. I was like the really old guy that just came out. Um, but I think that that the reality show was the thing that, like Dana said, was his Trojan horse to get a free fight on TV. But I think on top of that, it gave you some background into guys, and you get to get background into guys, learn more about guys. And it really went from, I went from being able to walk into a place and being able to go, okay, that guy with the tap out shirt knows who I am. That guy over there probably knows who I am, and maybe that guy. To walk in and like people walk up, hey, actually, first I had a first autograph signing in Calgary. I was up there and they had to be 55, maybe. Wanted me to sign her tattoo, and she pulled it up, and it was a tattoo. It was a tattoo of me on her shoulder. I was like, okay, yeah, okay, that was the difference. I went from me being able to pick out the few guys that might know who I am to, a 55, 60-year-old lady going down the mall, going, hey, Chuck, good fight. And then oh, hey, like it was that fast. Right after that, because right after the show, I knocked out Randy, got the title, and then it was that fast. And we went from now I don't know who knows that. So it was
On an
quick.
average day for you, how many times a day do you get stopped, ask for pictures, autographs, all that?
Well, it depends on where we're at. Like it depends on it, but quite a few. I do that a lot, but I don't mind. I mean, I tell everybody I got paid a lot of money to do what I love for a living. I still get paid a lot of money to do stupid stuff. Um, and fans are the reason why. So I try to, want to try to be, and that interaction, everybody fans are great. It's not, I've talked to some other, celebrities, they get a little irritated because like sometimes they play a character somewhere and they're not really a fan of the character. And it's like, oh, leave me alone on my free time kind of thing. But for me, I was always me.
Mhm.
And so they're actually fans of what I did or what and the experience I have with fans has always been 99% good, and so I like it. I
I
think I got some stories of people forgetting time and a place, or again, and being stupid. But I over last 20 some odd years, I have a few funny stories, but most of them are most of the fan interactions have been great.
I also wanted to get your take on just the trash talk nowadays that you're seeing in fighters. I mean, I was a huge fan of Chael Sonnen back in the day. I thought he was hilarious. And nowadays, you see some guys that are going after family members, wives. Like, what is your thought process on that now?
That's one of my things. Look, there's a line. I mean, to me, there's a line. I mean, it's not. There's a line. there's a lot of guys crossing lines that I don't think they should. I mean, that's too much, and I mean, it's not. I mean, Chael was funny, and Chael. And the nice thing about Chael, I did an interview with Chael one time, and we were both in the same show. And they were doing different episodes or whatever, but they interviewed him, and I was in the back talking to his mom, and he comes in, and he was up there, and he actually talked a little trash about me on the show, and so, but he comes back in, hey Chuck, hey, teed it up if you ever want to fight. How the kids? That was chill. He runs his things. It's fun. It was fun, and you could tell if you couldn't tell, he was trying to be funny and stuff. You're missing it, But yeah, some of the stuff today nowadays, like, hey man, look, man, there's lines. You don't get to talk about my family. You don't get to talk about my, friends. They're not. They didn't pay. They're not in this. So leave them alone. Talk about my camp, my coach, me, whatever. Go ahead, whatever you want to do to promote the fight, but stay away from. There should be some basic lines you're not crossing. Like the same thing with this stare down. Like we're doing a stare down. Don't touch me. I see these guys stare. I don't want to see guys' faces touching. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Get away from me. I guess just I mean I don't think I've ever. I mean I see guys always get a fight there. I'm like, hey, we're fighting tomorrow night. Like why are you getting so excited today?
Yeah.
Relax, calm down. I mean, I got Randy Silva and Tito to come after me on stage. They pushed me and whatever, got crazy by winking at them. They said, I winked at them. I freaked out. Guys, why are you so excited? We're fighting tomorrow night. This is for the fans. The stare down's for the fans right now.
Right.
We're not fighting tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, well said. I totally agree with all of that. Do you have a favorite fighter to watch nowadays? Is there someone that is like must see TV for you?
Um, I watch all the big fights really. Must see. Glover just retired, so Glover was probably my last must see one. Um, but I like the guys that fight, that stand up and fight as usual. But I like Poirier. He's a nice guy, and I like the way he fights. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick. I get that question all the time. Like, which ones you like? There are a lot of guys out there trying to finish fights, and when people bring up, oh yeah, people say names. I'm like, oh yeah, he's fun. It just depends. I like matchups, and I look at all the cards and see who's on them, and see if it's one I want to watch the whole thing, or if I'm gonna wait and there's 45 some odd UFCs a year, plus there's other
Yeah.
shows I like to watch too. So fights I like to watch too. So I kind of pick and choose my time between that and spreading between kids and working and doing things.
UFC 300 main event. You mentioned Pereira. He's taking on Jamal Hill for the title. Analyze that for me. Do you think Pereira catches him and finishes him, or is Jamal Hill going to win his title back?
I need to go back and I'm gonna go back and look at that and try to analyze, try to pick it apart a little bit because I watch fights for fun. Like I watch fights super ways, fight for fun or as a coach. Like yeah, I usually don't do both.
Mhm.
So if I'm watching for fun, I'm not really trying to pick guys apart. If I'm as a coach, I'm trying to calculate. So I'm actually very interested in that fight. I want to see it. I think Poirier is better at 205. I think that he was cutting way too much at 185.
Yeah, I agree.
Big boy. I want to work with him on his wrestling, some of his wrestling stuff. Um, Back before that sci fight, I was like, man, he's a big boy for 185.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a good fight. I'm looking forward to that one.
Can't wait for it. Last thing for me before I get you out of here. I know you're a busy man and you got a lot of things to do. Remove yourself from this equation because I'm sure you'd put yourself in this category and rightfully so. But when you look at all time best mixed martial artists ever, give me your Mount Rushmore. Who would be the four guys if you're not going to include yourself there at the top?
I don't know. I mean, gun to my head. I think it's BJ Penn, Matt Hughes in his time, Anderson Silva. Um, who else?
Or GSP in there?
Oh, GSP can be in there for sure. I know, man. You know, I the way he fought, like I always thought. I mean, I know he can go after guys and finish them better. I think he liked to be very technical there.
Mm,
But man, he made some very, very good fighters that look like incapable of fighting.
mm.
Yeah, like he made him look bad. Um, so yeah, he has to be included in that for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
It's tough.
uh,
It's a tough question. I know.
because and usually because I don't like I like I always like that I don't really like pound for pound best fighters. Stuff like that. Demetrius Johnson.
Mm,
Yeah, man, he has to be included, I guess. Like you look at it, I always hated the pound for pound because they're different. You know, it's different fighting. Like it's different styles, and then like, is he gonna be able to be that big and move that fast? You know,
sure.
like so. Um, Yeah, uh, it's tough. I've never like, and then if you were to go back to here, but it is what it is.
Mm.
You know, people always asking that, but yeah. So I guess those are my guys. I still the guys I like to watch fight, and oh man, in their time they're just dominant.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's a tough question to answer. I wanted to just get your thoughts on who came to mind. I appreciate you diving into that. And Chuck, I appreciate the time today, man. Again, I know how busy you are. It's a real thrill to interview you for the first time. So thank you for coming on the show. Before we do sign off here, if there's anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank, or anything like that, the floor is yours.
Oh, well, just come out and say hi. That's come to the fights. It'll be a good night of fights, and we'll hang out.